Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Super License F1 podcast. My name's Rodney.
My name is Zach, and I love the Formula One human pyramid.
Who doesn't love a human pyramid of any kind? But this happens to be a Formula One show, so this is what we have to deal with. How we do a quick vibe check, like we always do. How are the vibes?
Vibe check. Vibe check it's a mess. Everything's fine. No. The vibe is a mess. Like messy vibes sometimes are good.
It's Brat. You got the Brat vibe going.
I got Brat. My life. No,
bitch.
you know what? You know what it is? Is the world has Brat happening, and I'm not vibing with the Brat, and so
okay.
My energy is more, a bit like I'm a bit more rabbit on the Winnie the Pooh spectrum of I'd like a little bit more organization than that, please. And so right now, just pre-show, because we're doing video, I had to get an outdoor rug and throw it over all of the junk that's behind me. That is like a guitar, a vacuum cleaner, 2 washing baskets of clothes, because I moved house, and oh man, has that made for some fun organizational hacks. It's been okay as this desk goes, though. So you should have seen me before the show trying to work out when my boom was going to be. Like, I was like, maybe I'll just attach it to this rail over here, and then but it doesn't work. But anyway, your vibe check. Hit me with your vibes.
The usual chaos, but I'm hanging in there.
Chaos. Real chaos.
I use this camera angle and this camera for my work calls and everything. So I tell myself that people can't tell how messy the bookcase is. That sometimes there's dishes and an iron sitting on the table right here. That I just tell myself people can't see all that, but I know that they can. Great time for you to freeze. You gotta love it. Well, what do I do now? Because you're giving me nothing, quite literally.
Back. Oh my god, that's the first time in years that we've had a dropout.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh well, it's the first time in years we've had a technical problem that wasn't caused by us.
That's so weird. How fast is the internet in this room? That's pretty fast. It should be fine.
Well, okay. Let's assume it's going to be fine, and we will press on.
You know what? That's how every Formula One team, it seems, in the middle of the pack runs. Just assume it'll be fine. And then we'll just make it work.
We've got a few F1 stories to talk about. Everyone wants us to talk about all of the most contentious issues from the last week or two, but we've got a bit of catching up to do. There's lots of other stuff to get through. So on the agenda for today, the first thing that I have is a quick snack check. It's been a while since we did a snack check.
Snacks.
Now, I hear on the grapevine that you went to Italy recently.
Yeah.
Did you consume or see any Lek ice cream, or did you see Charles Leclerc himself?
I didn't see Charles Leclerc himself.
That's a pity.
Saw a Grom. I went in and had a look. No Lek ice cream. I went into a supermarket or two, and I wasn't lucky on the Lek. So I got...
You were unlucky.
I was unlucky. But what I can say is, if you are in Italy and you see Cafe del Nonno, which is essentially like a coffee McFlurry that is like part drink, but they serve it with a spoon, just get one of those. Like a really nice coffee soft serve, I suppose, but it just sits at cafes just spinning around in the thing. You go, I'll have a Cafe del Nonno, por favore. And they're like, okay. And it's so good and so sweet. Don't let the Italians tell you that they're all about savory foods. They are not. They like a sweet treat more than anyone.
Well, they like a treat. I've heard this. I'm sold. I'll meet you there.
Great.
Well, the reason I explicitly put it on the agenda is because I have something to bring to the table, which is to say,
Yum.
we have to check in on some things, because we're on an endeavor. We're on a quest to consume, to find and consume all of Formula One's passion projects. All of the chocolate bars, all of the ice creams, all of the coffee beans. And there's been a big
development?
Been a big development. Yes, this is huge. This is stop press stuff.
Mate, finally.
If I was posting on Twitter, it would be breaking in all caps and then this.
With the siren emoji.
Oh, the siren emoji on both sides of breaking, yes.
Whoa.
You might have seen recently Daniel Ricciardo relaunched his old wine brand, and look what Rodney's got.
Oh, shit.
Just a cheeky little bottle here.
That is big news.
Daniel Ricciardo's secret sauce, it says. So Daniel Ricciardo launched some wine a while ago, but I looked into it and it was like $200 a bottle, and I went, look, I'm not that committed to this bit. This one, $40, mate.
So you
40
reckon that was he had
40
like the
Aussie dollar bucks.
full level wine, and now he races for
Yeah,
sorry, V Cup. But what are they
He's
fucking
like,
called now? Yeah.
That was the Red Bull version, and this is the AlphaTauri. This is the V carb version of the wine.
Yes.
But
Wow, freshly cracked.
we have
What are you
to.
getting?
I mean, like when we got the Valtteri Bottas beans, we have to do a bit of a sample. So this is.
I'm so sad I'm not there in person to try this wine.
There were a few different options, and this was the cheapest one that I could find. Also, I noticed when you go to the bottle shop, you can tell the people who buy wine regularly because they hold it like that. And then when you hold it, you're not supposed to hold it like that as you walk around the shop. Apparently, that's a bad thing. And while we're talking about wine etiquette, most people don't know this, but there's a little divot under here, and most people don't know that what you do is you put your thumb in there to make it easier when you're pouring. That's how you do it classy way.
Yeah, it's definitely exactly. But so just for listeners at home,
Smooth.
held the bottle in the classy way, and then just necked it, and then just went, you know what, grab it by its girth.
It's going to make a great montage when we have a dozen or so of these. We cut them all together.
I love it.
I have that in mind.
What are you getting? Tell me what notes.
Let me see what notes I'm getting.
Oh, into a glass now. Formal. Getting his nose stuck in. He's taking the first sip.
It's got good legs. Like Daniel.
Like,
Sometimes it says on here like notes. But
no, don't cheat.
I'm definitely getting some, wine. It's got wine notes. Red wine.
Wine notes. Red wine notes. That's good. Yeah. It's nice because they say when you're trying like alcohols that really you're trying to match up the quality of the drink with the style that it professes to be, and that is red. And so that it tastes like red wine, I think is
a
big tick. First hurdle cleared.
Getting notes of house. This is the house red.
Oh, Cava de Maison.
Yes. I truly can't even tell you if this is a Shiraz or a Cab Sav. It's literally a mystery.
Does it give you any information at all on the bottle?
I'm getting absolutely nothing here.
It's Ricardo's. It's Ricardo's grapes. He bought them from the supermarket.
A red blend. It's a blend. A red blend is so good I had to share it. Wine made with my great friends at St. Hugo.
Okay.
I can tell you who made the artwork on the label.
Hugo.
I can tell you're not supposed to drink if you're under 18 or pregnant.
Okay. These are good ideas.
Cross
or
and
if you're driving.
So here we go. Anyway, it's going to be a messy one, so cheers.
I wish, it was not just lunchtime here. I mean...
Perfect time.
I think it's the perfect time to crack open it. When are these Formula One drivers going to start doing stuff that is not either an energy drink sponsorship or a wine or tequila or something? Why can't anyone just... I suppose, didn't Jensen Button do some beers at some point?
Did he? Left the track goes down.
Yeah, or he sponsored a brewery that was doing beers. That might have been it. I did see Jeremy Clarkson's Hawkston beer on tap the other night and didn't have it because I find him infuriating these days.
He's repugnant.
That's a good word for him. Yeah. If he wants to come on the show, nah. But yeah, not a huge amount of like, where are the like, where are the Yuki Tsunoda gummy bears? or Yuki's Kit Kat, like a Japanese, interesting Kit Kat flavor.
I mean, it's lunchtime where you are. Where's the breath mints? Where's the
breath mints? Where are the sausages?
Who would do breath mints? Like probably like Pierre Gasly breath mints.
Oh, like fresh Gasly. No, I think Bottas might be a good fit for that because he's all about, like it's quite fresh in Finland, right? So
that's true.
I know he's doing loads of stuff, but like,
and then the ad is just him with no clothes holding the tube right in front of the place where you meant to hold it.
What about like a Kevin Magnussen, like Fisherman's Friend? Because he's, oh my god, it's the right colors. It's Danish. They're a seafaring nation. I think that would be perfect. Yeah, he just drives straight onto a boat, and then while he's in the air, he's like, "Luckily, I'm ready." Fisherman's
Friend. The ad writes itself.
There we go. Love it.
Shall we crack into something a little more relevant to the topic at hand?
Yeah, we've let this podcast breathe a little bit. Let's sup of its juicy innards.
There's been a huge resurgence at McLaren. They are suddenly the car to beat.
So good.
And
they're cheating.
After a few, well, they may be. Let's get to that later. After a few races where their strategy has been in disarray, they've turned it all around in Hungary by being a completely different kind of disarray. And they locked out the front row, which
nailed it.
I want friggin' credit for this. I predicted they were going to lock out the front row. I predicted Piastri was going to win.
Whoa.
I ruined it for tenths, but I had that stuff all good. But despite looking at the front row, despite getting the 1-2 finish they so badly wanted, and despite Piastri winning, everybody's losing their mind.
No.
So
True.
what the heck is going on here?
What the heck is going on here? Well, the thing is, this is what we've known. I personally, after those Norris comments about Danny Ricciardo years ago, I was like, that's come from nowhere, mate. I thought you were
What?
like,
No. So tell us what comments you're talking about.
Didn't he say that I couldn't care less about Danny Ricciardo? Like, that they were like, oh, would you, what was it? No, it was years ago. They were interviewing him at Monaco, and he said, they were like, oh, would you, do this for, if this happened, would you give, maybe it might have been like, you've given your space away earlier in the season, would you give it back later in the season? Yeah, that kind of quid pro quo. And he was just like, no, like it just, every driver's out for themselves. Like he essentially just said, no, every Formula One driver is the same. We're all out for ourselves. You've got to look after yourself. So that's where he's coming from.
Right. Okay.
And then for that to kind of come up again this weekend for his team to be like, hey, by the way, though, we do win championships as a team and you're going to need your other guy at some point. He's like, I don't know, man. This is pretty sweet at the front, though. These guys can fuck right off behind me. This is the crux, I think, of it.
So, ironically, after what happened in Austria, where, I can't stress this enough, Max Verstappen drove into Lando Norris and ruined both of their races and well deserved his penalty. Let's put that to bed.
Yeah, everyone was asking. Podcast stance on that. We totally
everyone
agree.
was asking Lando Norris, you didn't race him very hard, to which I would say, oh, what the fuck? But they said, are you too nice of a guy? Are you too nice of a guy to win a championship? Are you missing that go for the jugular, win at all costs drive that it takes to be a champion, like a Schumacher, like a Verstappen, like a Senna, or whatever? And he thought about it and he said, no, I don't need to drive like an asshole. I can win. I can be a good guy and I can still win. So I don't need to be the bad guy. So cut to literally the next day. After going on pole and in his mind, just ticking up another win for him, like his second win in the sport. Completely Webbers the start, follows his teammate around for 50 laps, and then gets a better pit preference from his team, which results in him winding up in front of his teammate because they prioritized him instead of the guy who was running first, which is who you normally prioritize. And then they ask him, oh, but by the way, could you please give that position back? And he was like, well, I can't. I'm going into a tunnel. Bad reception here in Hungary. Can't hear anything you're saying, mate.
Would you like me to have some crack? That seems weird. Like, while I'm in the middle of the race.
Brandon, could you give that position back? Yeah, you can eat them. It's okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm done with them.
No. I'll have the steak, not the chicken tonight. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, whatever.
Whole passengers board and gate out. I think we're getting some cross chatter here. I can't hear anything you're saying. Now, I've got some hot takes about who I think is to blame and what should have been done differently.
Let me be in the react position for once, instead of you having to sit there being like, "Oh God, here we go, another Zach rant." Like,
so there's Jeez, enough. There's Oscar Piastri, there's Lando Norris, and there's McLaren. So who do I think did something wrong or deserves any blame if there is some? Oscar Piastri. He deserves almost no blame.
He is God's child.
He drove a little bit scrappy, had a few wheels in the grass, and just, I don't know, lost a bit of pace when he really probably, it would have helped him if he could have had a bit of pace. But other than that, he didn't do anything wrong, bro. Everything's fine there. All is forgiven. Lando Norris and McLaren. Now, if I were McLaren, there's a few things you could have done differently. So number one, if you're going to pull a move like this, where you pit the drivers in a way that benefits Norris and protects him from a charge from P3 and P4 so that he can retain P2, you probably got to tell him beforehand.
Yeah, that's why
you pit him. Yeah. We're going to pit you early, but you've got to promise to give it back to Piastri.
We're not pitting you for the lead.
Yes.
If it turns out that way, fine, but you give that spot back. But we're pitting you to protect you from this. Yeah.
The huge mistake they made was waiting until after all of the pit stops had been done to then tell him their plan. That was obviously a horrendous mistake. And obviously they had not.
This could be your LinkedIn post for the week. Like what I learned from the Hungarian Grand Prix about communication and open communication.
I can't do that because I made fun of somebody for talking about how Max Verstappen driving into Lando Norris, and the post was literally what Lando Norris and the Max Verstappen battle taught me about B2B marketing.
There's nothing. The good thing about B2B marketing is everyone knows how to do it, and there's nothing left to learn. So it's brilliant.
So
McLaren
could have,
made some
number
mistakes.
one, planned it differently, could have communicated it differently. The other thing they could have done is not done what they did. They should have just pitted Piastri, let Lando Norris fight it out for P3 if that's the way it falls. This is it's not so much that I want to put Norris in peril as much as you've got to protect Piastri when he has earned that P1 position. You've got to let him keep it.
Yep. I'm here for that. So that means it's funny you've done 2 out of the 3 names you mentioned.
Yeah.
So Piastri and McLaren. There's a little bit of fault on McLaren.
There's only one left.
Orlando
because
Norris.
everybody in Threads land, which I don't know if you've been on Threads recently or ever in the F1 Threads world, but it's because Lando Norris joined Threads, it has been completely flooded by literally millions of Lando Norris fangirls, and there is nothing but wall-to-wall Lando Norris cope going on that site. The problem for me with Lando Norris and what he did is, number one, the team told you many, 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 many times to give the position back, and you did not. That's a choice that you made. Now, McLaren looked after you with their strategy, and you chose to ignore it for a good long time. Now, they begged him, and they pleaded with him, and they manipulated and blackmailed him.
Yeah.
To say, give it back, and he did in the end.
Yeah, on his own terms.
Golf clap for you. When he was good and ready. Here's my hot take about this, and I wonder what you think about this. He should have just fucking done it straight away.
Yep.
And then when he had 20 laps.
Yeah,
he could have had 20 laps.
Won the fucking race. Yep.
He could have easily won the race from there.
I think he could. I don't think he thought he could.
He threw it away.
Yep.
That's my hot take.
I think that's a really good take. And I think that is one of the things I find really interesting about all of these young drivers is that some of them are really maturing into adults who are grown-up drivers. And some of them are still I only know how to do this way. I've had success from being a baby. I don't really know anything else. This is all I know how to do. And so maybe he just thought he wouldn't, it's almost like it was too awkward. If it was only 5 laps, he could have just kept talking and then made it to the end and been like, guys, it just didn't happen. And Oscar wasn't right behind me.
For 18 laps, to make such a big deal out of it and then still give the position back. It's why didn't you just do that?
I know. Because that's what children are like. You can't reason with them, Rod. They're unreasonable.
But I spent days justifying it to myself to say, no, look, Lando's a pure racer. This is what happens when you put a pure racer in a position like that. So it's not Lando's fault, but I've actually... I don't know. I'm swinging around on that.
I think there is a bit of bullshit to this thing around the cutthroat drivers that's the only way they can win, and that they are, you have to take every minute and every point that's available. And I think that there is correlation, not causation there. I think that happens that the guys who are really good, who can win championships these days, are number one drivers in their teams and are more likely just to be I kind of know my position in this team here. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I kind of want. And you're not really going to get rid of me because I'm bringing all this sponsorship money, and you can't really discipline me in any way, shape or form. Right. And it's very clear. Where we find this is where it is very unclear who's the boss in these teams. And so you see it at I think you're seeing it now because Oscar is really good. In a really good car. I'm not saying he's a world champion or anything like that. The car is excellent right now. Lando Norris, I also knew was an excellent driver, and he's probably a better driver than Piastri at this point in their careers. And you would expect that. Norris has been driving for years and years and years in Formula One. But it is currently unclear if they have a 1-2 driver strategy, and they probably kind of do, but at the same time, it not clear enough within the team to be hey, Oscar, jump the fuck out of the way. This guy's going to try and win the world championship.
Well, I think when they're leading the constructors, they'll be in a better position to have a conversation about what they do with the drivers. Yeah. But their goal is clearly win the constructors, and they still have a job to do there. And they're going to need Piastri to keep doing what he's doing if they're going to do that. But it is, I think, the only logical place to arrive at for all the people who are defending Lando Norris. If there's a number one driver situation at that team, then sure, of course, things are different. But they seemingly maybe don't. The thing about it is you've got to be crystal clear, we do or we don't.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is where Ferrari's always run into the problem, right? It's not really a problem when you're poodling around in fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. That like the drivers aren't too concerned. They're like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, if he's on the slightly faster, I'll just pop and you go. It's when they started getting close to winning races that they suddenly were like, oh, do Leclerc and Sainz even like each other? I have no clue, because Leclerc will be like, I'm right behind him, get him out of the way. And Sainz is like, you told me to keep my tires like fresh, but I don't really want to give up a position.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see if Ferrari get really good next year, and then you've got Leclerc and Hamilton. And Hamilton's not going to budge, mate. I'm sorry, in the kindest way possible. Hamilton wants to go and win a world championship to finish his career, and Leclerc would like to just win some more races, please God. So yeah, there's not going to be any clear structure there. So I think it's less about drivers having this drive to survive, fucking like, I'll do anything to win a race, and I'll never listen to my team. Like, that's impossible because all the teams are like highly strung, like well-oiled machines now. And the successful teams over the last decade have had a number one and a number two. That's literally it. So it'd be really interesting to see another team try to do it without that structure. And the only reason Mercedes managed to do it with Hamilton and Rosberg is because they were just so much better than everybody else that season as well. Like, they could actually have their two drivers somewhat duke it out a little bit. Yeah. But these days and I suppose that's why, and I don't know if you want to transition at all, but I think that's why there's so much pressure on Perez right now, because they're just not as good as they used to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's fine for Perez to not be firing as long as he's sort of there or thereabouts and Max is dominating, and you can almost pencil in all of his wins for the rest of the season. Everyone feels a lot more comfortable when you can do that. When you can't do that, it becomes quite a lot more of a problem. We got a question in the chat, but I first do want to finish off on the McLaren thing, which was to say that it was mentioned in the chat, like in the team radio calls, to say, hey, Lando, remember, you've got a long season ahead. We've got every Sunday morning meeting. Just think of that, and then you'll make the right decision. And some people called that out to say, like, Lando Norris is quite open and frank about his mental health challenges, and to be putting that kind of pressure on him is not cool. And for me, that doesn't, I mean, I'm very sensitive to those issues, but that just frankly doesn't really hold a lot of water for me, because they asked him repeatedly many, many times to do something and he didn't do it. People are also making a lot out of the fact that, he grew a 3-second gap out to a 6-second gap. It's like, well, yeah, that's because Oscar Piastri was behind, chewing up his tires, trying to close in, expecting to get that position back, and he didn't. I'm surprised he didn't crash the car.
Yeah, I think you're right about that second point. I think the first point, I think that there's that quote as well, that radio message is, I think, reminding him that, hey, every Sunday morning they must discuss how we race as a team. We don't crash into each other. We're going to play together nicely. And that they must have some guiding principles as a team around how they work. And I think I don't think it'd be understated how good McLaren have gotten at this game. I think Zach Brown's done, it's not just him. He would be the first person to say that it's not just him, but I can't remember everybody's names at McLaren. But they have steadily been improving for the last 6 years, just slowly every weekend being like, right, keep your eyes on the horizon, keep driving, keep moving. And it's probably stuff like that. It's probably like, we race as a team. We listen to what our engineers have to say. It's not going to take Toto. I know it's not Toto, but you don't hear Toto. Toto gets on the radio a little bit at Mercedes, or used to. And I don't think Zach Brown, did he get on the radio this week and tell Lando what to do? No, he's not that kind of
No, the team principal didn't either. They left it all to the other folks.
Yeah, exactly. Well, take that. That's what I've learned about how to manage teams. That's going to be my LinkedIn post. If you're going to give people responsibilities, let them use it.
Message in the chat saying the McLaren radio to Lando sounded like a negotiator talking down a suicide bomber at times. Think of your family, etc. Yeah, very good point.
Yeah, what are you doing to us? This isn't how we expected it to go.
Another comment that we might just quickly cover off. You think Hamilton will have the legs on Leclerc? I'm not convinced in a totally different team car. Thanks for the comment. What do you think?
I think that's true. I think that anytime we've seen a driver change teams, it takes some time for them to make the car suit them. Maybe that'll be easier because we're towards the ends of a formula and sort of the car is what it is. But I can't imagine Lewis is going to walk in and be like, oh, this Ferrari is amazing. Just get me in there. I'm sure it won't slide around and won't do, and the seat fits me perfectly and all that kind of stuff. Whereas Leclerc's going to know more about it and be better and definitely have a point to prove. So I think it's going to take at least half a season for Lewis to get really comfortable. And Leclerc, what's Leclerc good at? He's not bad in qualifying, but Hamilton's pretty good at. Yeah, what's Charles Leclerc good at? Sponsoring ice creams. Gelati, sorry. I also wonder if the team will really be really happy to see Lewis Hamilton there, and he will get a lot of they'll love him in a way that Charles Leclerc, obviously they love Charles Leclerc, but Hamilton's a world champion and one of the best racers of all time. I think that Ferrari are really excited to have him.
From Fred Vasseur down, it will trickle down. His excitement will trickle down, and that everyone will know that he is the golden child. He's even more golden than the current golden child. And
he's the golden man. There's a golden child and there's a golden man.
Going to Ferrari really separates the golden men from the golden children.
They are all. I mean, if you're a Formula One driver, you're golden in some way or another. It's just varying degrees of carrots.
Well,
at this point.
Let's talk about one of the former golden men of the sport who's lost a little bit of his shine of late. Max Verstappen not doing so well. The car's not doing so well. I feel mentally and emotionally he's not doing so well. Someone needs to check in on this guy.
That supercut of all the radio calls that they put out where he's just like, nah. And they're like, well, fucking hell, Max. Information or not. You asked for these updates and now you're getting them and now you don't want to hear them. Inside voice, come on.
Back to, it flares up every year or two. Return to the reckless driving, and after his incident with Lando in Austria, where they had to come in together, but then Verstappen really made sure that if he was going to get damaged, Lando was also going to get damaged. Yep. And so, you can make all kinds of arguments. In my opinion, he was trying to run him off the road, which
he's been doing that his whole career.
It's horrible stuff. And then this race where you had just nothing going right for him, which I understand that that's frustrating, but that's also the way it goes some days. So you don't get to just dive bomb down Lewis Hamilton and just slam on the brakes and go, Jesus, take the wheel and hope that it'll all work out. And you don't yell and abuse your team when they're trying to help you on the radio. He's just nowhere. And they've come out now and said, oh yeah, because everyone made such a big deal. Max was up playing his little video games all night. That's the problem. That's why he's so tetchy.
Yeah, of course.
And they've said now, no more video game, no more late night sim driving, focus on real driving, which on the one hand, they want to say that had no effect. He does that all the time and that has never had an effect before. But at the same point, we're also going to ban him from doing it. It's well, bro. Yeah,
pick one, right? It's like when cigarette companies fought, they're like, oh, you can't take the branding off the cigarettes. That won't have any impact. It's well, okay, we'll do it then. It wouldn't impact you. But it
Don't do that. No. We won't sell any. Don't do that.
What is this middle part of the season? Everyone returning to type. It's so interesting because I think Norris has always kind of been the main boy and established himself at McLaren. Piastri threatens that. Verstappen saw off all competitors, all challengers, but then has been absolutely dominating for almost 3 years. And you forget all the stuff. He's just races on his own every weekend, and now he's got guys around him. He's got to be re-socialized. It's like he's coming out of hibernation a little bit. But all the things around, the Verstappen rule of don't move. We're going to penalize drivers for moving after, in under braking, moving once, not twice into braking zones when someone's trying to challenge you or overtake you. All of these things they're just so obvious. And I think if it was another driver, I think the sport might actually do something slightly more about it. But this is Formula One. It's never been like that, right? It's rules for the guys who win races and rules for everyone else. So it is unheard of. He is that team. They also have nothing else. What would they even do? I'm happy to play the what if with Red Bull. If he was just you know what, guys, I'm getting out. I'm going to take 6 months off and not even see out the end of the season. Or if he said he wanted to move somewhere, who would even go to Red Bull? Who's left? Who are the good guys?
These are the guys. We'll get to driver movements because there's been some driver signings and announcements and movements and possible movements, which include whether or not Verstappen stays at Red Bull or leaves. But we might use our next comment to move into the next topic as well that you want to talk about. Maybe we'll start here. So one last comment. Thank you for all these comments in the chat. Really appreciate them. I'm curious of your opinion of the Russell-Hamilton battle this year. I think this weekend will be interesting to see if Hamilton can carry some momentum, or will Russell once again be on top without DNFs or fuel issues. So obviously they're in winning ways. Russell Not his first win, but for some reason it feels like his first win
Feels like it,
because he doesn't
yeah.
win very much.
No.
Lewis Hamilton,
And it was
after
excellent.
it's been a long time between drinks for Lewis Hamilton, and I was away when the Silverstone Grand Prix ran. I mean, I can only imagine what it would have been like to be in London, but I didn't even get to watch the race. I just watched the highlights, but it was very dusty when I was watching those highlights.
So dusty. Only
And it
feelings.
just, I mean, I could barely even keep my...
I've watched those highlights
It
twice.
was raining on my face that day.
And it's just Lewis, right? I think
Yeah.
one of the best things about him is he just seems incredibly human. Where a lot of Formula One drivers aren't. Like, they're so locked in, and there's just the only thing about them is that they're a Formula One driver. And I think we've all been on this journey with Lewis Hamilton for such a long time. I feel like we've seen him go through multiple. He could do his own Eras tour at this point. And it's really sweet when you see. It's a little bit like when Pierre Gasly was sitting on the podium after winning as well. And there's that great photo of him just like sitting there, like basically taking it in and crying. Because we all love this sport, and we can't even imagine what it would be like to race in it, let alone win a race. And to see it hit someone in that way, that you're like, oh man, it means so much to you. That's good and real, and it's not a job, and it's not. And that it almost adds more to everything else he's won as well. Because I think that I wonder if, total armchair psychology, I wonder if he's reflecting on, like, did I get to a point where I thought that was the norm, and then it went away and I worked out that it wasn't, and I really wonder if I'm ever going to win a race again. Like, I really thought my career was going to be like, I'm going to have loads more races, because I suppose no driver really knows that the last race win they get is going to be their last race win. He might think that. I mean, he's probably going to think that any Ferrari win he gets could be his last win, but I don't think when he won, how many days was it between? It was like
nearly 1,000,
nearly 1,000 days.
Something.
I don't think he thought it would be that long. He probably thought he was 10 races away from his next win. Not
even that he thought it would be that long. He probably worried he'd never going to win again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly right.
So, I mean, it would seem 2 wins on the trot for Mercedes, that they are well and truly back. They may be, they may not be. For sure, when Red Bull are not winning everything, it helps. Ferrari don't seem to be able to get their act together. McLaren are the big threat. But, I mean, there's nowhere to hide in Spa, and whoever has the pace on the day will be hard to beat. So Mercedes could well and truly be in the running. I guess to answer the question, what do you think of the Russell-Hamilton battle? Hasn't really been a battle in the last few years. That's because their wins haven't been on up for grabs. But what will happen, say, if Russell's winning, Hamilton's charging, the team says, let's bring home this one too, but Hamilton's going down the Kimmel Straight, barreling it down, and thinking of those times that Rosberg hit him, and how much it means for him to win, and how to get some more wins
this
for
could
the team
be my
before
last
he
race
leaves.
win.
Could be.
Is
it going to get spicy?
Again, no number one driver there. Russell probably thinks he is, because I'm the guy who's staying, right? So
you're wrong. They've got 2 number 1 drivers there. That's their strategy.
That's the strategy. Yeah, again, it's all easy when no one's winning. And then as soon as there's something up for grabs, it's like, oh, shit. We didn't think about these things.
Exactly. Have that on the whiteboard.
Yeah, winning. Fuck. Okay.
What a concept.
Yeah. My gut reaction when you were saying it, and maybe this is interesting, is that I don't think Hamilton will do it. I think he's not that guy anymore. And I think Alonso's similar. I think Alonso really likes being considered the, like, I'm a silky driver. I don't fuck around with, like, crashing into people in those ways. Like, you're all wrong. This is how you should drive in Formula One.
Yeah. The Drivers' Championship is not really up for grabs for either of them, I would say. That probably plays a big part of it.
So I think Hamilton would rather be considered he has nothing to prove from I've been a hard driver, I've won every race, I've earned everything I earned. Nowadays I think he can just be seen to be like an elder statesman of Formula One. Like, this is how we should be doing it. Lead from the front. Like, you don't go and crash into your teammate or anyone else if you don't have to. If the move isn't really on, you don't need to force it. Do it the next corner. I have more respect for that stuff. I think it's bullshit. I think the go for the gap even if it's not there driving is bullshit.
Oh, I don't know if you saw that interview that I did with Cotters a few weeks ago when he was launching his book. But we were talking about Senna, and I said, that line, if you don't go for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver. That's been used to justify some really shitty driving.
Yeah, exactly.
Our wonderful chatter has commented and said that he basically agrees that Lewis will be very aware of his brand reputation and protecting that. So I think we're all in agreement there.
But I would say one thing about Lewis, which is that he might get on the radio and say, "Hey, that gap was there. I didn't go for it because just letting you know." And I am quicker than
he
Russell.
Would say, "I'm quick, man."
Yeah,
we've got to move along, man.
We've got to keep moving. It could be a hammer time.
It could be. Let me just check my watch, my hammer watch. Should we move on to the driver Marche?
Yeah, can't remember who tweeted this, and I don't know, but I saw it earlier and I really liked it, which is that is the Behrman Ocon team the tallest F1 team in history?
Yes. Let's Google how tall they are. Hang on a second.
That sounds like a job for us.
How tall is, what's his name? Oliver Behrman?
Oliver Behrman?
He's 1.84 meters.
Okay, so I'm taller than him. And that means you are as well.
Nice. 1.86. Oh, he's got 2 centimeters on him. Suck on that.
Wow.
So you do the maths. 160, 170 odd centimeters of man in those cars.
Yeah, 371. 371 centimeters. That's a whole Formula One car probably these days. How long is a Formula One car? 10 meters, 100 meters, something like this. 4 meters wide, 100 meters long.
Your real ideas, man. Bring back the 2-seater car.
Yes, like a Mario Kart. What are the ones where you had the two guys in there? Double dash. Oh God. You know what I think? Just coming back to the number one driver thing, you should have to teams should be forced to think about that with like football teams are with penalty shootouts. They would be like, cool. So it's very close after Q3, and because it rained, we think that you have to pick one driver to represent your team on the track today. Like that would be so interesting because then you would really make them choose.
I thought you were going to say the way that the cars have like a maximum weight, like there's a maximum height for the whole team, both drivers. Combined, I'm sorry, but you're over the maximum height of 3.5 meters.
Like luggage on a plane.
Should have signed Yuki Tsunoda, or maybe
every team is signing Yuki because the best drivers in the world are all really tall.
So I mean, the news was going to be Oliver Behrman signed and confirmed at Haas. Magnussen confirmed as leaving. Womp womp. But then, I mean, that was just by the time you announce Behrman and Ocon are confirmed, it follows that Magnussen is leaving. Yes. Other driver movements. Pierre Gasly confirmed that Alpine second seat still remains to be confirmed. Lance Stroll has been confirmed since last time we talked, which rounds out their driver lineup. So we're still not sure where Kimi Antonelli is going to come in, if he does come in at all. But this was newsworthy that the FIA updated their rules to say, drivers can drive even if they're under 18. We'll make a special exception for really great drivers, which I'll remind you, that was what the super license was for. If you qualify for a super license, you are, by definition, quite a good driver.
Yeah.
So they just changed the rules to let Kimi Antonelli in, but now that he might not even get in.
I mean, bullshit, right?
Yeah, I think it's fucking absolute bullshit. Why even have a rule if you're just going to change it?
Why even have the rule if you're going to change
Why do we even have rules?
Why do we even have a super license? Why don't we just call them the Drive to Survive license? You get a specific Formula One license. Will Buxton hands it to you.
Any reactions to any of that before we round this bit out?
You can only get so excited about so many things.
That's true.
So Lance Stroll at Aston Martin. He's my big one.
I mean,
I think next year's his year. Yeah.
He's going to come good next year. I can feel it. Where are the seats that remain? There's one seat remaining at VCARB next to Yuki. Presumably that'll be, if Daniel stays there, it'll be him or maybe Lawson. Yeah. Mercedes have got their second seat.
Liam Lawson cannot miss out on a Formula One seat next year.
I don't know.
He's really good.
Yeah,
he should have been in this year, but then they were like, "Oh, go do this other thing for you, please."
Yuki made a good point, which is like, why would they promote Liam Lawson when
they
could just promote me? It would be weird. Like Liam Lawson only raced a couple of times and he did a good job, but that's only a few races. I've got multiple years.
I know, but I love that Helmut Marko then responded to that, being like, "That's a weird thing to say."
Yeah, how about you just drive the car, mate, and you let the grown-ups make the decisions. Yeah. Exactly. The contention will be if Max absolutely cracks the shit switch. I mean, he seems very close to doing
Definitely
that and
won't.
goes to Mercedes.
No,
That will leave
maybe.
a seat at Red Bull, but presumably Sainz is waiting for exactly that scenario to play out where he'll either go to Mercedes or if Max jumps ship, he'll go to Red Bull. And I think if Max leaves, I think Carlos Sainz will be very worried. Or if they dump Sainz, that will be a surefire sign that Max is leaving. So there could be movement there, but also nothing might happen.
But also that, I mean, that's the way. Something or nothing. These are the two
well,
options.
yeah, literally. But I was thinking, I mean,
mhm.
after the excitement, the mega excitement at the start of the year of Lewis going to Ferrari,
Well,
really since then all the driver movements have been kind of ho-hum.
what needs to happen is Oscar Piastri needs to go to Red Bull.
You've got my fucking attention.
Yeah, that's how it should go, right? Max will go. You can go to Mercedes, fine, whatever. But then Oscar
can
goes to
go.
Red Bull. Yeah, you will allow you to leave because you're such a little dickhead. And then Oscar will come in and he'll be the boss. And then we can have Oscar and Liam at Red Bull, and they'll be really lovely and
He'll
friendly.
be the Bosca.
He'll be yes, and we'll have the Bosca and the Law.
Now, this is not driver news, but big news recently. Mattia Binotto is back, and he'll be at
finally.
charge at Audi. And, I mean, he gets to install a team principal. There's a few names being thrown about there, Mike Crack not being one of them. But nice to see Mattia Binotto coming back. There was rumors he was going to go to Alpine, but I'm not surprised that he was like, no, thank you.
No. Man with the glasses. That's how everyone knows him.
Where's Wally?
Yes. Interesting that they couldn't find a nice German man from all the German racing that they do at the VW stable of Formula. Yeah. That they couldn't find someone from all of their WEC stuff and all of their...
I'll get Pascal Wehrlein back.
Yeah. Wow. Fucking
You forgot about him.
That's not a name that I was expecting to hear today. Pascal
him either.
Wehrlein. Yeah. But, you know, Binotto, yeah. I mean, does he have anything to hang his cap on from Ferrari? Do any of the Ferrari people do? I suppose we talk about this, right? It's just sometimes you just got to get the Formula One people in. Oh, you've done Formula One stuff. Great. Okay. Well,
but
this is come be our team principal.
This is my theory right now, right? Is that like for a while it was Red Bull, Ferrari, everyone wanted to work there, Mercedes. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're all going to Audi or we're all going to Alpine. Or we're all going,
Aston Martin.
We're going to Haas. We're going to Aston Martin.
They pay really
waters
well.
Down. The talent spreads out and then all waters down. Yeah. I mean, Adrian Newey is probably the kind of guy that like is above that, and wherever he goes, the success is probably going to follow. But like, not all of the talented people seem to ever go to the one place anymore. So
that's true. It's true that there's. I mean, Fred Vasseur is working quite hard to try to make that happen. But there's just so much money in the sport, right? And there's just loads of different jobs. Also, don't think that like the linchpin thing works as much anymore. That you're like, wow, we've got this one excellent chief design guy. He's designing off the wall stuff. Like it, I don't think it's been necessarily true about Adrian Newey for like he's still excellent at what he does, and he's the most experienced man in aerodynamics and car design. But
is he what?
He's been around for a long time. It's the Tim Cook. No, there's the what's his face from Apple, not Tim Cook. He's not that.
Talking about Johnny Ive, or are you talking about someone?
Talking about Johnny Ive, exactly that, Rod. Yeah, everyone thought that as soon as Johnny Ive goes, that's it. The Apple designs will be horrible and they'll stop making money and like it'll never work. And then that's not the case because as that person's reaching the top of their career, there's a bunch of other guys who are also learning how to do all this other stuff, right? And so, you know, maybe the guys who are working out how to do fun things to fuel aerators at McLaren maybe could be off to Mercedes next. So
our favorite chatter of the day says that Newey's going to Aston, which I mean, definitely
pays well.
There. I mean,
it's not hard work and it pays well.
I feel like he's not going to Ferrari, but where? Beyond there, I don't know.
There also seems to be no pressure to win the championship there.
That's true. I guess it's
everyone's
a big
going
payday.
there.
Yeah,
we've been hearing about them. Really, they're coming. They've been coming for 5 years. Like,
wherever he goes, he'll be able to do whatever he wants. That's the thing. So I mean, he can go to any team. He will have a big impact. They will improve. But boy, if you go to a team that's really struggling, and you go, look, it's going to take me 10 years to turn this team around.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to slog it out for 10 years? I don't know. I just don't know. Do you want to hop onto this last note that you've added here? And you can,
Oh yeah,
you
I just
can,
thought this
you
was
can
an
walk us
interesting
into it.
story. Yeah, this is just an interesting story. It came up at an FIA meeting, and
Mm.
it was put to the Formula One group, which was, I think I just made that term up, Formula One group. It was put to Team F1 around, could we have a wild card to get young drivers into races? And if you look at that idea for half a second, you go, "Oh, that's a good idea." Get some random guy into every race. Like that'll work.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, what could go wrong? And then as soon as you look at it for past that half a second, you're like, "Oh, Formula One teams are really expensive
All of
to
those
run.
things that could go
Cars
wrong.
are really hard to do, make, fit.
What about
Who's gonna
championship points?
do what? Yeah, it's just
Audiences
too
who
complicated.
show up
Don't
to
know
see
their names.
Lando
Yes,
Norris or
just-
whoever.
Yeah,
not
and
even in
he's
the car
sitting it
today,
out
well,
this
sorry.
week for
Yeah, it's
Hunter
his week off.
X. Yeah, yeah. There's a buy round.
It's a
Drive
buy
round. So this is why I was so. The principle of having more drivers get to try Formula One is good, right? Sometimes you see them FP1 or FP2 for teams, because you have to find a way to get them racing around in these cars at some point, because they are so much further ahead than Formula 2, essentially.
If only there was some kind of thing that was a bit like an F1 race, but maybe like a little bit shorter. That means nothing and no one cares about anyway, that we could just inject all of these drivers into.
Oh, like what do you call a race that's shorter than like a sprint?
Like really fast where they just like gun it to the end.
Gun it, just gun it.
I know.
Yeah.
Let's call it the drive fucking fast race. With fucking randos in there.
Rando Norris, his brother. Yeah. So I was going to ask how you made that happen. You've answered my question. You've got a great answer.
I mean,
Sprint
that's
race,
all I've
the
got.
showcase sprint race.
But I mean,
And
to
then all the
finish off
teams will love
your-
it when their cars are crashed by these
Yes,
by
they
Orlando
just
Norris.
love that. When they have to
And-
stay up all night and break curfew to replace parts of the car that cost tens of millions of dollars, but they love it.
Yeah,
You walked us
they
through
love
this.
doing their tactic.
You walked us through this meeting. It was resoundingly voted down on the grounds that it was bad for teams, drivers, and audiences. That we
Yeah,
weren't
someone
doing
went.
that.
You did think about this for more than half a second, right? They're like, no, I just thought.
Yeah, it's literally
I
just
heard
made
the
it up
word
right
wild
now.
card and went, cool.
Wild card, just such a vibe.
I do wild card at Wimbledon. Why can't we do it in racing? I actually have a different way of solving this.
Yeah,
I think that all the teams should put money into a kitty, and then there is a Formula One team that's called Formula One, and this team has a rotating list of people, and you could and the season before you have like a game show of where you're going to be one of these 4 or 8 drivers that are on Team F1, the 11th team.
this is like
And
in
you
the
get to
Formula
race.
One game where there's just like player one, and it's just a random person, and driving for team like Spirit or something.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then that way, but because the Formula One team's running it, the Formula One group, you go and hire, you turn it into like full graduate program, right? You've got all young engineers, it's the academy group, but it's totally open. So we get to see, it's all like behind the scenes live, garage is open, everyone gets to see everything. They get to pick their parts from the other Formula One teams. And so they're going to be bad, but that's not the point. We've always had bad Formula One teams. If anything, it's been years since we've had really bad Formula One teams. Like
It's
right
true.
now, like we don't really get the like teams that are like, wow, they've been lapped 3 times. Like it's really bad. We haven't had that
So
in
do we
ages.
want that? Is
No,
that a good
well,
thing?
I want the home brand Formula One team. I think it'd be a really
You
fun
want the
idea.
Team U F1 team?
Yes, yeah, I want Adrian Yu to come and design that car.
Team
or like,
Timu.
or like mentor. Yeah, Team Timu. Yeah, Team TikTok. Get them on.
There's already Team TikTok. It's a Brad Pitt team.
Oh, that's a Brad Pitt thing. Oh, okay. Well, so yeah, that's my call. Maybe they don't even have to be at every race. They just need to do like, give them the crappy US races except COTA. You just give them all shit races where there's lots of runoff. Or maybe you have drivers from those regions where those races are, right? So you have like the APAC races, then
that
you have the
works.
EMEA races, and then you have the Americas races. That'd be good.
I like it.
Finally, someone is here talking sense about Formula One.
Well, I mean, Zach, I'm onto my 3rd glass of wine, and we're like, the notes were looking particularly feather light this week. So I added this last thing to just be like, I don't know, that'll kill a few minutes.
Legit.
Do you want to go through this?
We should talk about the F1 trailer. My favorite meme. Do you know the meme about this?
Well, wait, let's just set the scene first of all. So Formula One, I mean, you might think that the FA headquarters are in France, but they're not. They're in West Hollywood, baby, because Formula One,
Joe Bruckheimer is the boss.
It's on the silver screen. That's where I get my timing, is from the silver screen. Yeah. So the F1 teaser trailer has joined, and with a hot take about the best part of the trailer, Zach, you're going to paint the scene for us.
Is that any other song works better than the song they chose?
Now tell us again, for those who haven't seen it, what was the song?
Isn't it a Queen song? Isn't it
We Are the Champions? Oh, no, isn't it We Will Rock You?
We Will Rock You. And every meme I've seen about it is like, just put literally any other song.
The most generic possible choice, and you can put any song against crashing into the
wall. And they all work better in that song. Yeah. And they're all poignant in their own ways, or they're way more exciting. Like the trailer's so somber. It's so sad.
So, of course, the hot song of this summer, which all the kids are losing their minds about on TikTok, is Zach.
Skippity Toilet, is that right?
Skippity Toilet. Charlie XCX is having a moment, but I couldn't tell you what her music's like. I haven't heard any of it.
Sabrina Carpenter doing stuff as well? I still haven't heard that song.
I don't know what the last contemporary song was that you heard, because I'm way behind the times. But I'm an old man.
I mean, the thing is, right? I do TikTok, I talk, and I hear the songs, and I don't know what they are. I just know them from TikTok, and so then
you just know their TikTok songs.
Exactly.
Love that for you.
So no, I mean, right now it seems that everybody's wearing just like all the skate clothes that we all were wearing in 2001. So I'm going to say it's going to be like, I don't know, Blink-182, something by the Offspring probably would be the hot TikTok song, but a cover, but Lana Del Rey has covered it.
Yeah, sure, absolutely, yes. I know that name, Lana Del Rey.
Oh, there you are.
There you go. See, I'm back in the mix. Teaser trailer reactions. I mean, it's the first time we've seen footage. Did you see it?
I've seen Formula One before, Rod.
I'm aware of this. I did find it surprising that the name of the movie is Formula One and the logo for the movie is just the F1 logo.
The Formula One logo.
I'm worried about lots of things about this film. I made a whole ass video about how it's so expensive, and it's going to have to be. I mean, people can go and watch that video, I guess, but Brad Pitt's most profitable movie, it's going to have to be 3 times more profitable than that movie for this movie to make a profit. So, profit out the window. It's
Formula One
not going to do that. It is Formula One marketing, quite literally.
Yeah, and so it's not really about profit.
Old friend of ours, I was hanging out with our old friend Christian the other day, and he reminded me of that movie that the FIFA made about themselves, where it has Tim Roth, and it's just about the inner way. Like, you take the world sport. The sport that like gets the world's heart pumping, and they made a film all about all of the administration and all the paperwork and all the diplomacy that goes on behind the scenes, and it's the worst rated film in the entire world. Luckily, this has got on-track action. Some of it seems to be the stuff that they're filming with the modified F2 cars. Some of it seems to be, it turns out, actual race footage where they plonked a camera on one of the cars and they're just like matching over the top the Apex car to be like, good. No, it's totally Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I think the teaser trailer surprised me with how intense and fast-paced the action looks. Where I'm worried is the story.
Yeah.
Really worried.
Who is this film for?
Don't know.
Because anybody who is already into Formula One knows that the story is not going to make sense, because you can't be like, we're like, the only story is the Braun story, right? So make that film. Like, that's the only story where that's like, we were the underdogs. We didn't even know what a car was. We don't have a steering wheel. Like, it's like that Mitchell and Webb look sketch where they're like, we're going to become the best cricket team at the Olympics. And like, they just know nothing about cricket. And that's just really funny. But yeah, I mean, Brad Pitt's been like, we're not fast, and we're not clean, and we're not cool, so we'll get him in the corners. And anybody watching Formula One, anybody who knows anything about Formula One, like, and I don't mean like fucking nerds like Michael Lemonardo. I mean, just people who have watched 2 episodes of Drive to Survive they don't need Will Buxton to tell them that it's like, well,
that's
just being a little bit quick in the corners is not going to win you Formula One races. And then
that's
because of how a season works, you're not going to win a world championship. It's not like see, so many sports movies use the trope of knockout because knockout works because you only need to be just better than the team you're going up against, and you can luck your way to a final.
That plausible what's it called? Improbable plausibility or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Formula One is a fucking slog. Yeah. And there's also heaps of bad luck. So I don't really know. Are they meant to be like a team that was just happened to be really good 5 minutes ago and then has slightly gotten worse? Like, is this the Mercedes story? They're like, we used to be amazing and we had an off season. And now we're back.
It's going to, the thing is they're going for this absolute realism, and it's going to make Drive to Survive look like some kind of reality. Like, it's going to make it look like, Horny Island or whatever the latest Netflix.
Yes, Horny Island is the name.
It's called Horny Island.
Not called Temptation Island. Horny Island. They called
Never heard of Temptation Island. Not
Sex with Friends is what they call it.
Sex with strangers.
Yeah.
Chin chin up your bum.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to make and no one's as good looking as Brad Pitt as well. Though this is the problem. Like all the
he's meant to be an F1 driver. He's 59 years old.
Yeah, he looked better than Fernando Alonso, who is an old Formula One driver.
True, but those
how many
awesome
Formula One driver cameos do you think we'll
because
get?
They're filming, like they're on the track, they're showing up and they're answering questions in the pen, and all of a sudden, like Fernando Alonso's answering questions, and Brad Pitt walks behind him, and it's like.
Whoa!
What?
Who is this?
We all just acting normal. That's Brad fucking Pitt right there. But the teaser trailer, the teaser trailer impressed me, but I'm still worried that the movie will suck. So I'm going to go see it.
Yeah,
I'm IMAX to see it, but I'm worried.
I'm going to see it in Premier IMAX with $30 worth of snacks. I'm going to go see it. They should do. When's it coming out?
Next year. Or the year after. I think next year.
Okay. Next year, right. That's a long amount of time.
I think late next year.
Oh, wow. All this stuff's going to be so out of date by then as well. Like half those drivers won't even have jobs.
Lewis will be at the wrong team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there'll be no visual consistency.
Oops. They're going to be at the Spa this weekend. They're going to be doing more stuff. So you'll be seeing more of the Apex Grand Prix team out and about.
Well, yeah, now that the trailer's out, right, there'll be way more.
Oh, well, especially.
Yeah.
The big thing that kills me is their car is golden black and their racing suits are white. What? That's just
boring.
wrong.
It's also, isn't that our friends at, what's the energy drink that we always make fun of?
Yeah, Rich Energy.
Rich Energy, isn't that there? It's like, why does it look like is he sponsoring it? And has he put 100 million in?
That's Blu-ray bonus features. In other Hollywood news, though, there's a lot more to get through. The Deadpool livery. So Alpine have announced for this round that there's going to be a Deadpool versus Wolverine. Yeah, I'll Google it. There's going to be a Deadpool versus Wolverine livery at Alpine. They've got also special helmets. So Ocon is the Deadpool helmet.
Ah, yeah.
And Gasly, the other guy. Gasly, he's the other one.
Oh, yeah.
I'll pull it up and I'll share.
I have two things. First of all, I thought I saw Hugh Jackman running through Highbury Fields.
A huge jacked man?
It might have just been a huge jacked man, and Apple was like, I don't think he is around here. I was like,
every time we make that joke, he's a huge jacked man.
Or a huge ass man.
As a general livery,
is that
really
a Ferrari?
Good. Exactly, right? But you can see the scrapes here. Yeah. It's good looking livery, but also, I don't know. The funny thing is, my reaction to this is, fucking F1 cars, big billboard for a brand. Yeah. That's what every fucking F1 car
welcome
is,
to the sport. Is this the first time?
Have you seen the V-Carb car?
The only reason it exists is to be a big billboard for oil companies. It's nice that it's a film. Look, when was the last time we had this?
It looks good, but what car in black and red doesn't look good?
I know. Didn't we? When was the last film time we had? Because I know we had Phantom Menace. That was 20
Star Wars one,
years ago. Did we have one? I feel like did we have one for like The Dark Knight or something? Did someone do some Batman stuff? Who's doing Batman stuff these days?
Just some Batman stuff.
Some Batman shit. So I want to tie these two news stories in together.
Let's do it.
How much better would it have been if the Formula One film was a bit like what Deadpool, like they always break the fourth wall stuff? So like you just described that scene, they're interviewing Fernando Alonso. Brad, oh my fucking God, that's Brad Pitt. Yeah, he's a Formula One driver now. What? Oh my God. That'd be the best. Like that would have been a better film.
He's so short.
Yeah. No, they don't need Yuki in their team. I think that would have been better if it was the thing is, my final point on both of these stories is one of these things is about not taking the world too seriously, right? And the other one is Apple TV. It is an Apple TV film, right? Mixed with Liberty Media, mixed with the Formula One, mixed. It's all America all the time. It's going to be the most serious film. It's going to be so serious. Like there's not going to be any lightness to it at all. You know, for every serious grown-up Brad Pitt you have, you need a light-hearted George Clooney as your team principal. You know, why not make Ocean's 15, but it's a Formula One team like that? There's way more ideas that are better than like we've squished in a Formula One team into the grid. Like who's dropping out? Are they the 11th team?
I think they're an 11th team.
Oh, see, should have been my academy team idea. Make a movie about that.
Been.
There's so many. It's just there are so many better ideas. Who's writing this film?
Who's
driving
this? I know the director is the same director that did Top Gun Maverick, so I think he's had a big say in it. But I believe Lewis Hamilton and Brad Pitt sort of broke the general story, but then they probably got a team of writers to be like, turn this into a thing.
Oh, so is Apex spelled APX?
It can sometimes. Depends.
It's APX. I like that they're sponsored by Shark Ninja, though. That's good.
You know the main character's name, right?
No.
Sonny Hayes.
Fuck off.
Yeah, right? Exactly. This is meant to be like this movie has to make $1 billion to turn a profit.
Well, Javier Bardem is in it. Is he the team principal? Who's Javier Bardem is listed as being in the top cast?
Oh, he probably plays he plays Mohammed Ben Salim. No, I don't know. I don't know who he plays. Probably team principal, or maybe like a sort of, what's that guy's name? The guy that everyone hates from 2021, the Australian guy.
Oh God,
I've already wiped it from my memory.
I mean, Kim Bodnia is she thingy from The Bridge? Oh my God.
The Bridge? From the TV series?
Yes.
Oh, well, I liked her.
Is she? Which one is she? Sorry, I'm really bad at doing this at the same time as like.
So great. No. Just say something. We're doing a fucking podcast.
No, it's no, fill it with dead air. No, it's not it. She's not Sophia Helen. She's not Sega.
Amazing.
Okay. So yeah, I think this film's gonna be trash, but look really good. So looking forward to that.
It just needs to get people to go, and it just needs to stick the landing on
one film apologist. Russia's best Formula One film. Okay, it's done.
What's your favorite sporting film?
What is my favorite sporting film?
Name a good sporting film.
I know it, but if I just say, what's Dave Shumka's favorite sporting film?
What do you mean?
It's Moneyball. It's Moneyball.
I was going to say, my favorite scene in F1 is going to be when Brad Pitt wins the championship trophy. He holds it up. He says, "That's Moneyball, bitch."
Moneyball is a very good sports film.
But is it even a sports film?
Yes. Oh my God. What do you mean? It's like saying it's Home Alone a Christmas movie. Yes. What do you mean? It's all about the sports. But you mean like action sport. But is it really?
Or is it a personal redemption story?
Karate Kid.
Sport is the backdrop.
Okay. Yeah, but what sport film where sport is... Like, what do you mean? They're all back to sports the backdrop, aren't they?
This is what I mean. The more at the forefront, the sport is, the worse the film tends to be. The good stories have good characters, and they're not really even about
if it was called
sport.
Baseball, people wouldn't have seen it. Like, were we saying we should have... What should they call the Formula One film then?
How many other sports are named? How many other sports movies are named after the sport? Would you go
Formula
see NBA
to Formula Ones?
I'll tell you this. I'm getting old.
Could have called it Backmarker. That's better.
They should have called it Challengers. That was a great movie. They should have called it Dune 3. Then it would sell $1 billion.
How is Zendaya not in this film? She's in all the films.
Get her in. She can wave the chicken flag. I tell you, I'm an old man, but I've never felt older than when someone that I worked with, a young guy, said, "Yeah, I really like old films." And I was like, "What's an old film you like?" And he was like, "Old like Space Jam." And I was
Leave me the fuck out of here. Space Jam is a great sport film, though.
I've never punched a teammate in the face, but I came so close that day.
Fuck me. Oh man, what next? I mean, I've had this when people saying like I'm really into metal. I love, Green Day, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, man. Old metal.
Yeah, I remember, yeah, anyway, this is getting into personal anecdote hour, but I remember playing some music and then someone said, oh, this is cool music. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to see this band soon. And they went, you're going to see Blink-182? And I was playing the Pixies. Good stuff,
That's
bro.
great for you. Well, I mean, look, it's going to be good because it's got Brad Pitt in it. He doesn't do bad films. So
I really want to see the one that he's in with George Clooney called Wolves, where they're both hitmen. It looks like it could go either way, but I would back it.
I thought George Clooney was going to run for president. I'm disappointed that he didn't.
We're getting into presidential talk now.
Hey,
he manifested. Kamala, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, George Clooney.
George,
couldn't have done it without you.
I don't know, man. George and Amal as running mates. That'd have been amazing. Amal Clooney.
That would have been great.
Yeah, I know. You've put something on the notes here that I just looked at. What is Rick Allen?
You haven't heard of Rick Allen? So Rick Allen dropped onto my radar yesterday when someone dropped it in our Discord, a link. You've got to see this. It's amazing. And it's a combination of Josh Allen.
Yeah,
okay. I don't know who that is.
No, I don't know what this is. Yeah, tell me the second half.
He's like an American football player, NFL player.
Right.
And Daniel Ricciardo, who you've heard of.
Yeah.
Combining to do a promotional short film for Beats.
Wow.
Where they join forces and be best buds. And they buy a racehorse. And the name of the racehorse is Rick Allen. It's setting the internet on fire. It's basically an ad where they've shot... It's an ad that they shot where they just didn't cut anything out, and there you go.
Give me Rick Allen, the legend of Rick Allen, the story of two superstar friends.
So Ricardo showed up at the track today wearing a Rick Allen t-shirt with a horse and like both of their faces on it. They're selling merch, I guess, with Rick Allen merch, but it's a Beats promotional thing, but it's also a short film. It's very strange.
We should have started the show with this. I should have watched it and then, damn it, I'm out of the zeitgeist. I'm getting old.
You can send in your reaction later.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Rick Allen, everybody, get on that.
It looks great. I thought it was a Switch game. At the top result, I was like, this sounds like something.
The thing is, you watch it and it just keeps on going.
Brilliant.
You think this is it? This is surely the end of this ad.
I'm totally here for it, but no,
it's not. I'm predicting this will be the next Netflix series related to Formula One.
Okay. Rick Allen. Do you think this Formula One movie is going to be big enough that it will get a sequel?
What will they call it?
Formula
F2.
1 2? No.
F1 squared.
I call it FU.
Another glass of wine. I call it FU. Yeah, absolutely.
That's got to be what the Formula One Academy team's got to be called. FU.
Love that for them and me.
We got Spa this weekend. Yours and I's probably joint favorite race. I'm just checking Twitter to see if there's any updates. No, we should go. Logan Sargent. I'm just going to read a tweet straight from Luke Smith. Logan Sargent's responded to some quotes from Marcus Ericsson saying him and James Vowles James consonants, no longer on speaking terms. Marcus Ericsson has a reputation of talking about other people without ever having a conversation with me in his life. It's not true. Okay, Logan Sargent, I never think about you. There's a man whose name I just see and my eyes go... Just fold over his name.
So the rumors are that Logan Sargent and James Vowles are not on speaking terms. And I mean, look, on the one hand, that sounds really bad. On the other hand, James Vowles made the decision to give his car to the other fucking driver. So there's also that. Remember?
There's also that. But I would do that. I think I would be, one of those drivers is a really good Formula One driver.
And the other one is?
A pay driver.
That wasn't me saying that. That was him. That was that guy that said that, not me.
One of those guys is, maybe just...
We all know why he's there.
In Formula One on Reddit. On Reddit? On
Reddit.
Fuck. On Merit.
Merit.
Yeah. Oh, well. At least we get to watch Spa this weekend. You going to stay up and watch it?
It's one of those races. It's one of the only races where I'm like, how can I manufacture something so I can watch all of practice and all of qualifying and the race? Because I don't always do that. I used to.
We should go. Can we go? We'll go next year. We'll camp. Why don't you come over and we'll go camping there?
I would love to go.
Let's do that.
So
We'll do that before
but the problem is,
150
a month ago you wanted to go to the Japanese Grand Prix,
Yes.
and then I think 6 months ago you wanted to go back to the Singapore Grand Prix again.
Yeah,
There's
my
so
life
many
gets
that
in the
I
way.
can do.
Now I have a mortgage, Rod. I've got no plans. Now I'm really happy to just be in this place that I pay for.
I think it's more likely I come and visit you and we watch
Yeah.
the Spa Grand Prix on your
In
TV.
person. Yeah, my
I think
that's what I'm
that
gonna
is
watch
more
this
likely.
weekend. You can come stay in the spare room and we'll watch
Oh.
the Grand Prix together.
You know, I finish early tomorrow, so yeah, I'll see you probably like tomorrow night.
Maybe we should just do that. You should come. We'll go to Silverstone. Neither of us have been to Silverstone. I've lived here for 10 years and never been. Shut up.
Yeah, we should do that.
You come here, we'll go to Silverstone, and then we'll get in a car and we'll get a caravan and we'll drive to Spa for the following
caravan,
weekend,
I like
whatever
that
it is.
idea.
Yeah, and we'll stay in a caravan.
Kit it out with a satellite. We'll podcast from there.
Fuck yeah. Super license on the road. We could do a tour. Tax write-off.
On
It's a
tour.
write-off.
On tour. I love that idea too. Now, here's what I know for sure. If we don't fucking plan something, it's never going to happen. So
Yeah,
let's set
okay.
a solid
Get a
plan
Trello
to go
board.
to somewhere.
Just come.
What are
come
we
to-
saying?
yeah.
Next year.
Well, just saying that maybe it's going to be easier for me to get out to Singapore and Australia and stuff next year. So let's see if we can do that. Singapore was my favorite race of all the races. Hungary was good. Monza was good. Singapore was really good.
What made it so good?
I was there with you.
Well,
No,
that
but
wasn't
it
what I
nice
was fishing
because
for.
you
but
could do stuff during the day and
Yeah.
then you go to this cool track in the night and it looks really cool. It's the OG
Yeah.
night race. It's the one.
I'd love to bring the family, so I mean that would work
Not
because we
hard.
could do family stuff during the day. And then
Exactly. Off to Sentosa Island, do the safari at the cool,
go
go on
and watch the
gondola.
ferrets, put the rubbish in the bins.
Rod, they weren't there when I went last time. I've been telling my wife all about the otters doing the sorting. It's all she wanted to see. And she's doing the show, watching it. And she's like, when are the otters coming out? And I was like, now, soon. And then it finished and they never arrived.
It must have been their week off. It was their bye week.
No, I think they're into crypto now. I don't think they're sorting rubbish anymore. They got better jobs.
Too rich.
Yeah. Well, let's do it. We'll organize it and we'll do it. Easy as that.
Singapore.
Let's have a look at the
Or
calendar.
we come over
Or
there.
you come to London. We can
I
fit
feel
you
like
in
that's
there.
more likely, but I mean, look,
We can fit
we
you in
need
this
to
little
start the
house.
plan. We need to get the wheels rolling now. That's what I'm saying.
If my parents
Look.
can stay at this house, you and your family can easily stay. It's fine.
How tall are your mum and dad combined?
I'm probably taller than you and your wife combined.
Probably. We're not
Right,
married.
it's
But also
fine.
we have a third, which, I mean, but she's tall.
That's
She's not
true.
very tall. She's
Not
only
yet.
little. And she's
We'll
losing
see.
teeth by the day. So
Oh.
if we factor in the weight ratio,
Teeth by the
it
day.
all works out fine. Look, we have rattled on for a long time. I wanted to find some big ending to go out, but I think us organizing a get together in person to watch Formula One, it
Yeah.
doesn't really get any bigger than that.
Straight
So
up. Yeah.
this is absolutely fine for us to
Yeah,
go out
watching
on.
party. We'll plan the trip around whenever the Formula One film's coming out.
We
Because we'll
will
get press passes. Let's get press passes to
Mm.
meet Brad Pitt.
get pit passes.
No, so you know that one of my favorite podcasting things ever was with the McElroys. They did "We Will Be in Trolls" too,
Okay. Oh, right. Okay.
and they made it's like a podcast that it pretends to be from the future. That is like a documentary about how they got themselves into Trolls 2, but they just did it to get themselves into Trolls 2.
Of course.
Voice actors, and they did. They made it. It worked. But I reckon if we start now with the goal of being at some of the press events for this Formula One film to ask Brad Pitt a question and get him on the show. How do we get Brad Pitt on this podcast? That's what I want to do
But I will start brainstorming today.
today.
Yeah.
I've got to get on those press lists. That's what I want. I live in London. They'll do it. They'll do it. The launch will be here.
Well, look,
100%.
the thing that we're gonna need if this is all gonna work is we're gonna need subscribers and followers and supporters. So there's lots of ways you can support us. I want to throw out a huge thank you and shout out to the wonderful Patreons who throw in a couple of shekels per month to just keep the servers going, keep the lights on. Although I've got them turned off today, but I look better with the lights off. You know what I'm saying? But they also fund things like me buying this. So thank you, Patreons, who just pay the bills and just keep everything motoring along. But the other thing you could do is tell a friend. You can also subscribe. You want to be subscribing on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or if you're on the YouTube train, check us a like and subscribe on there. If you want links to all of that stuff, It's at superlicense.fm. And this week, the FM stands for, Zach?
Formula Movie.
Formula Movie. Let's get ourselves into the Formula Movie. You can follow us on Threads. We're at Superlicense. There's all sorts of stuff happening on the website. Go there. That's your center. It's your home for links. If you're a links fan, boy, there's lots of them there. And you can also send us an email, superlicencepodcast@gmail.com, or fill out the form on the website and we'll get it. We will answer any questions that you have or correspond with you in your way of preference.
Yeah, and if you otherwise like Formula One, tell them about us. Because
we'll be back in about a month or so with another podcast. I'll try and keep live streams going just to keep some content rolling out there and videos and stuff. Thanks to everyone that watched the Danica Patrick video, which went incredibly well. That's news to Zach, but I'll send you the link later.
I've been out of the world for about a month, so I'm slowly reintegrating.
What do you know about lizards? Anyway, let's not go there.
I didn't know what Rick Allen was. I mean, I've got lots to catching up to do. If you could send me like a dossier. Rick Allen was.
Thanks for everything. Thanks for listening to the podcast. We'll see you on a future episode. In the meantime, it's time for me to wrap up by saying, my name's been Rod.
My name's been Zach.
See you on the next podcast next time. See you later.
Bye-bye, Rodak. Is that our Rick Allen name?
Rodak, must be.